Happy Tuesday, Shredder Nation. Welcome to another episode of Shred Your Body. My name is Jesse James Jamnik. I am your host, and tonight I have one of my dear, dear friends. She is a holistic nurse. She is a functional medicine practitioner. She is an herbalist. She is somebody who has spent pretty much her entire life in the medical field, but more importantly, Susan is one of the most badass human beings that I have ever met in my entire life. She literally gives and gives and gives and gives and gives to and her passion is to help everybody. But what people don't realize is the struggle that Susan went through herself. Susan's dealt with autoimmune disease. She's dealt with thyroid issues, which is all connected. And we'll touch on this type of stuff. We're talking, when you talk autoimmune, we're talking Hashimoto's, we're talking, celiac, we're talking all kinds of stuff that goes on down there. We have all these labels that Susan and I will touch on. And I'm really, really excited. So first and foremost, Susan, welcome to Shred Your Body once again. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being here.
I'm thrilled to be here. I mean, this has been on my heart to talk about for quite some time. So I hope
I
it
love it.
helps some.
Oh, it's going to help so many people. It's going to help so many people. And if it doesn't help people, then unfortunately, they're still closed-minded. They're still blocked out. And as we know, we can only help those that are willing to be helped. And that's a sad, sad, sad thing. So do me a favor, guys, as you come in, if you've never joined one of these calls before, we do this call every single Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. It's one of my favorite calls because I have the privilege of highlighting amazing stories of ER shredders, people who have had ridiculous transformations, people who have fought through hell for the past years of their life and have finally seen the light, if you will, have finally come through to really realizing just how awesome the human body is supposed to be and feel and function like. And I get that privilege to highlight those stories, to share science with you, and really to educate you, to give you the knowledge so that way you can then turn around and make an educated decision. And that's really the thing. So Susan, let's dive right into this because I don't want to waste any time because we got a lot to talk about tonight. And I know that we can help a lot of people. So real quick, I know I just kind of gave your whole history, but how long have you been in the Lenny's here, Janice, April? I see you all. I feel you all. Thank you so much. How long have you been in let's just call it the medical profession, even though that's such a broad thing, but how long have you been in holistic nutrition, functional medicine, and so on and so forth?
Um, Over 20 years. I mean, I did work as a nurse for quite some time, but over 20 years in the holistic space.
Mm. So, and for people that don't understand the difference, Susan, what is holistic medicine versus traditional medicine?
Looking at the whole body, not treating symptoms, getting to the root cause.
Getting to
And
the root
look,
cause.
yes, and looking at the body as a whole. And, part of my story in this will really bring home what treating the body in pieces and parts, it doesn't work.
Mm. And as you and I both know from years of experience, because as you know, you and I have known each other for I think about 6 years now in
Yeah.
total. And I've been doing this for 20 plus years. Obviously, our paths are a little bit different, but as you and I have come closer and become better friends, we realize that we're both really on the same mission. One, we just want to feel awesome. And when we crack that code for ourselves, it is a damn shame for us not to at least help other people and teach what we know. And again, we can't force them to do it, but we can share that information so other people can then go on and make that educated decision. And that's a beautiful thing. So holistic medicine, a functional medicine, I think, Susan, is actually starting to make its dent. Now I know it's going to take a long time. Sadly, it's going to take a long time for it to fully flip around. And I don't know where we went wrong back from the Hippocrates days of let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. I don't know where we steered so wrong over those years, but boy, are we in a complete shit show right now when it comes to the average health of a population as a whole. And I know it makes you just as sad as it makes me. But let's dive into this. Let me just share one thing real quick. I put this in my show notes, but I want to make sure that I'm very transparent with everybody. We are not going to teach you anything. We're not going to promise that we can treat, cure, prevent disease. We cannot tell you that we can reverse your own personal symptoms. What Susan and I are going to share is Susan's real life story. This is her experience dealing with autoimmune disease. This is her 20 years of experience working in functional medicine and helping other patients who have had these same issues. So that is the information that we are laying out to you. I cannot promise you that the Shred or any of the products that we use are going to magically heal you. What I can tell you that I know without a doubt in my mind, that the human body is the most fascinating piece of machinery that's ever been created. And when given a fighting chance, the human body will heal itself. And Susan, do you agree that that fighting chance is just solid, good quality nutrition?
Yes, absolutely. Foundational.
And some probing for sure, right? So let's dive into this, Susan. Take us back. Your share with everybody the situation. Share with everybody your story. What first of all, when did symptoms of yours start with autoimmune and issues that you started having? How many years ago was this?
Oh, quite. This happened. It started vaguely in 2003, and 2004 and 2005 was horrible. So, do you want me to go into my story
Let's
now?
go. Let's
Okay,
share.
so
Let's get it. Let's get
what
right in there
happens?
so we can maximize this.
I was working in my herbal practice at the time. I was still maybe doing some shifts in the hospital, but very limited. I was an independent contractor. I was mostly in my herbal business and seeing clients. Um, my health was good. I didn't really have health issues. I didn't know, um, that I had autoimmune disease. I didn't know that it ran in my family, which it actually did. None of that. And then my education as a nurse, um, I knew what thyroid symptomology was, but I wasn't really educated on Hashimoto's and autoimmune, so I never really thought about it. And then in
Mm.
2005, I was the poster child for hypothyroid. I had no stamina. Um, I was easily fatigued. I was depressed. I was nervous. I gained weight around my abdomen, about 8 pounds, changed nothing. I think probably at that time, I was like in a paleo lifestyle. I wasn't eating a lot of
Mm-hmm.
sugar and carbs. I had a healthy lifestyle. So this came out of nowhere. I was freezing all the time. My hair
Mm.
started falling out. I lost my eyebrows, um, uh, constipation, and all these symptoms. And in the beginning, I guess like in 2003, because I was in the naturopathic model. And Jesse, this is a great statement because there's a lot wrong with mainstream medicine, but there's also the two have to come together. So
Mm.
when I started having symptoms, and I thought it was my thyroid, because that's classic, and I reached out to naturopathic people. The recommendations they made to me was actually fuel on the fire. And it was not, a lot of it was not helpful. So having the data was very important. So that was 2003, 2005. I was having profound digestive issues. I walked into my primary. I wasn't a doctor goer, but
Mm-hmm.
now I'm not feeling well. And it was
Mm-hmm.
every single day. So I walked into my primary care doctor, told him what was going on, and I said, I'll never forget it. I said to this guy, I think it's my thyroid. And right away, I could see, he's like, oh, nervous woman, in her 50s, nervous woman. He tested me. And the way he tested me was not correct.
Mm.
So it came back and they told me that I did not have thyroid disease. And that started um, quite the journey. And
Mm.
one of the things that really motivated me to do this, it's been on my heart because I've shared the data, but not the emotional level of what that felt like. And Heather really motivated me, because her story, which she was talking about, she knew and she kept fighting for herself, which a lot of women do not. So what happened is your thyroid, you have your thyroid stimulating hormone, you have T4, which is your inactive hormone. Usually for hypothyroid, they'll give you Synthroid or levothyroxine, which is T4, and your body has to convert it to T3. And
Mm-hmm.
that's active hormone. And T3 is integral in every biochemical process, from peristalsis in your gut to your hair to your heart. I'll never forget one of my last shifts as a nurse. I was coming out of a patient's room. I was carrying their food tray. My muscle just let go. The tray went to the floor. At that point, I thought, okay, I have MS. So I would go to the doctor. They would test my thyroid. They would tell me nothing's wrong with my thyroid. You know, I'm sitting in front of them, losing my hair, gray, cold, this nervous wreck. Um, it really was quite the thing. Um, and then over time, what happens is your immune system starts to go down because your cellular energy goes down, and then the adrenals come into it. So one of the hardest dynamics, even to this day, it's a little better today, but when I first started working in functional medicine and we're a thyroid specialty, these women would come in, and I still get emotional about it because they've been um, devalued, not listened,
Mm-hmm.
put on antidepressants for thyroid disease and menopause, and put on T4 when there's way more to the story. So by the time I finally got to where I needed to be, I was in full blown chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue. The cortisol was 5. Um, today it's normal, but I was living in my life like a frayed wire. And
Mm-hmm.
what happened is I would gather some strength. I would go to the doctor. I would be devalued. I would come home and I would have to recover from that. I had friends that were supportive, that listened. I had other friends that thought I was a nervous hypochondriac. Um, One of the things that really validated me is I was in this medical practice, and at one point, the digestive issues were so bad. It wasn't swelling, but I was like puffy all around my bikini line. And I went into this doctor, all these symptoms of hypothyroid, same doctor. And I said, could it be my thyroid? He said to me, no, you probably have lymphoma. Well, that didn't help. So I didn't have lymphoma. And I fired his ass. And I ended up going to a doctor within his practice, but a different doctor.
Yeah.
And years later, his name was Dr. Cohen. And I was walking out of the office, and I knew when I went in there, it's like, oh, it's her again, a hypochondriac. And he came up to me and he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, you know what? I really have to apologize to you because you truly are a different person today.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, I ended up, um, I was so desperate to be treated. This was around 2009. And I had found Isagenix. So not all of this was like an up and down.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2007, I found Isagenix. That helped a lot. And then in 2009, I finally found an endocrinologist that probably felt sorry for me, and he prescribed me Armour Thyroid. Well, within 2 weeks, I started feeling better, but that would not have worked out. And what happened is I had made an appointment to pay out of pocket to go to where I work today. Okay. So he's a thyroid specialist. And when I got there, he adjusted my medication. I had a 2 week where I popped up, and then I started having symptoms again. And then
Mm-hmm.
what he did was he allowed me to slowly increase my doses. And we lose a lot of women in adrenal fatigue. That's what would happen. Now I was on something called NP thyroid. It was the right medication, but my cellular energy was so low and my adrenals were so low that every time my cellular energy would start to rise on the medicine, I didn't feel well. I couldn't handle that. So it was back and forth, increasing my thyroid meds, decreasing it, increasing my, I use supplements to repair my adrenals. And that was a process. And I know people have gone through this, and a lot of people blow out. They think it's the medicine, but what it is your body trying to rise. And getting ready to speak about this, I pulled out some labs from 2009. So I'm now being treated. It's a journey, but the consequence of being marginalized, devalued, not listened to by the medical profession, the chronic fatigue left a mark. I had to regain my health. So when I pulled these labs from 2009, I tested for high rheumatoid factor, anti-nucleic antibodies, which are all autoimmune. I tested for rheumatoid arthritis, scleroderma. I had something on my skin called cryoglobulinemia, and I had low platelets. All these things, it was all my thyroid. So, I reached out to you when I did my labs last 2 weeks ago. It's like, it's amazing. And I still have Hashimoto's today, but my antibodies, these labs that I'm telling you, in 2009, my antibodies were over 1,700, and they're below 3. And today, they hang about 60 and 80. I still have Hashimoto's, but I'm completely asymptomatic. My adrenals are repaired. And I guess the biggest thing I could say is that this is a journey, and we have to advocate for ourselves. We have to stand up for ourselves. We know something's wrong.
Yeah. Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah, the lymphoma thing, that was not good.
So let's try to go back for a second. So there's a lot of people that suffer with the same exact thing that you're talking about. Now, I want people to understand you're here, you are as a trained medical professional,
right,
a nurse that's been working in the industry. You seek out the help of a colleague, basically, right?
yeah.
And at that time, I've come, I think doctors have a problem, and I think the problem that they have is what's called diagnosis syndrome, where their ego gets in the way, right? Like, I'm a doctor. I went to 8 years of school or 10 years of school, and I did my residency. And for whatever reason, I found that I see that doctors, they can't admit that they don't know. It's like something that's like hard for them to do. And again, I don't want to group everybody, because there's a lot of great doctors out there too. But there's so many people that struggle with this, and we put these doctors, right, Susan, on such high platforms. And I'm like, can I just tell you how many doctors I've helped over the last 20 years? Because they don't know nutrition, they don't know whatever. They know what the textbooks taught them. And my God, do we know that research is so outdated, right? Not only that, but some of the research that's been put in there it's actually not even been proven. It goes off of like hypothesis, and it goes off of like statements that get plugged in, right? So here you are dealing with this symptom. You know that something's wrong. You're feeling this, and yet you just keep getting knocked down and knocked down and knocked down. And thank God you were strong enough to never give up. But how many patients have you seen now over the years that sadly have given up because the doctor told them they were crazy? The doctor told them nothing was wrong. You got the wrong testing that wasn't even done the right way, that could have maybe nipped this in the butt so many years prior, right?
Jesse, it would have changed the whole trajectory. It was really simple. When I went in, they tested my TSH and my T4. If somebody had looked at me and done their job, they would have tested my free T3 and my antibodies. And that would have been all she wrote, the adrenal fatigue. And as I said to you, when I got to where I am today, in 2010, 2011, 2012, we would see these women come in on the wrong medication, still complaining, so then they were given shut up and go away drug antidepressants. So what I will say today is what we see in the office, it's a little bit better. A little bit better. And part of the reason for that is a lot of doctors want to capitalize on bioidentical hormones. So, it's a subset. But, for me, if I just had the right testing and then, people are interested, I'll put in the chat what should be tested. It would have been a simple fix, but I lost years of my life in that, all kinds of medical testing. It was, it really was unbelievable.
Yeah, because now the testing that you're talking about, just so people are understanding, Susan, we're talking like a full deep blood panel, right? Like something along the
Actually,
lines of like an IgG testing type of thing.
no, Jesse, this is basic stuff, I mean, in endocrinology, if you have a thyroid patient and you put them on T4 and they're still having symptoms, you do some more blood work. This was
Yeah,
simple blood work
yeah,
and just wasn't done. So by the time I finally got to where I needed to be, when you walk around like that with low cellular energy, it affects everything. So
yeah.
that's why my immune system was going crazy. And of course,
What does that mean? What does that mean, Susan? Because I know what you're talking about, but for people that maybe aren't aware, what does low cellular energy mean? Like, what does this do to the body? How does the body function at that level?
well, in any process, um, there are certain things that have to happen. So, as we're sitting here tonight, all of us are detoxing. Our cells are exchanging nutrients, toxins, and depending on your lifestyle, your own health conditions, all these things, at what rate is it doing that? So, when I
Mm,
was finally diagnosed, when I saw my T3, I knew I needed to be treated, but nobody looked. So over time, that just kept going. I mean, that thing I told you coming out of the room when my muscle just like let go, I can't even describe what that felt like.
yeah.
Um, and things like that were happening to me like every day, like these things like, I didn't know if I was dying. And I would wake up every morning, and I mean, you kind of know me. I'm pretty vital and vibrant and upbeat. And my first thought in the morning was, I can't wait till this day is over.
Huh.
So for me, it was simple testing. And that's, why I wanted to do this, because I
Yeah.
know that there are women bouncing in and out of, and men too, bouncing out of offices, trying to get an answer to something. And any
Yeah.
hormone imbalance, the thyroid has to be looked at as well. So for
Yeah.
me, what happened because of the low cellular energy, your immune system has to deal with that. And so I spike for all these autoimmune diseases. Like we've actually had in practice a woman come in that was being treated for RA. She didn't have rheumatoid arthritis. Her thyroid was sluggish. As soon as that was addressed, the RA symptoms went away.
Yeah. Crazy.
That's not everyone. It's a lot of people.
Why do you think that why aren't they doing this testing if it's such a simple test? I mean, we're talking about a blood draw. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
why is this not happening? Like I don't.
here's what was said to me um, when it was finally uncovered. So they said, "Oh, you have Hashimoto's, and what's going to happen? There's no treatment for it. Your thyroid is going to destroy, wait. Your thyroid is going to destroy itself. And at that point, we'll either remove it or put you on thyroid medication." And I was like, what? So, of course, there's a lot of things you can do for Hashimoto's. Diet, number one, selenium. There's a lot of things that you can do, but that's what I was told.
Yeah.
And, you know, they just completely like dismissed it.
Yeah. And it's so sad because, you know, I'm thinking of people that aren't as fortunate that didn't go into this industry like you or I
Yeah.
that don't have at least some knowledge to understand like you had that and man, I don't want people to think that this is not easy for you. Like when you get told you're basically a quack job, you know what I mean? that starts to eat at you, and you're suffering every single day, and you're just dying for an answer. You know something doesn't feel right, but yet you're basically just being told that you're crazy. And
Exactly.
we have to rely on the doctor because we've been taught for so long that, hey, if you don't feel good, you go to the doctor and the doctor is going to have the answer. Well, let me just make it very clear. The doctor doesn't always have the damn answer. And I really need people to understand that, Susan, because it can save so much trouble. You know what I mean? And I know one of your biggest things that you wanted to get out is to encourage people that don't give up, right? Like, don't stop. Like, if you
Yeah.
know something's wrong, you got to keep pursuing and you got to keep trying, and don't just be so one track minded to be like, oh, you just need a pill. Oh, you just need a pill. Like, for whatever reason, we're in this world, this generation where it's like, oh, you don't feel good. Let me just cover it up with some medication. Let me just cover it up with some medication. Well, let me tell you something. There's a lot of money when it comes to this type of stuff, right? And sadly, what people don't realize is that pharmaceutical companies give kickbacks. Pharmaceutical
Well,
companies give
I don't,
vacations, right? And all that kind of stuff. Like,
for me, that track, not that I disagree, but it's not, when we talk about autoimmune disease, and yes, there are really big drugs out there, biologics, that have a lot of side effects that are very, profitable.
yep,
Um, you know, treating the symptom with autoimmune disease is a dangerous way to go. I mean, some people do need, when you talk about colitis and psoriatic arthritis and some of these things, they do need intervention with medication. But what people
mm-hmm,
don't understand, there's so many things that you can change with lifestyle. For me, I was lucky because my story is all I needed was thyroid hormone.
mm,
I did need that. And then I had to repair all the damage being done, not being treated. And then the other emotional side of it, of being devalued, I was offered Prozac, you know. I mean, it was, you know, a very difficult time. And then there's a PTSD component to it as well, because it took me time to heal from that. Friends who are your support system, your family, telling you, oh, you're nervous, you're a hypochondriac. Um, and I know a lot of people have, so autoimmune disease is a little bit different. I wish mainstream medicine saw it in more of a multifaceted way. Talk to people about diet, pulling gluten, different things like that. And I wanted to do this in this group because we're all about intuitive eating and the empowerment piece and the thing about standing up for yourself. And for a lot of people, lay people, it's very difficult to argue with your doctor and to speak for yourself. And for me, and I guess this is the heart of it. As I went through that, I always remembered, and what I would educate my clients after this is, if you can't do it for yourself, do it for the woman in the waiting room behind you,
yeah,
because we have to change this.
yeah,
Otherwise, it's not going to change. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, man. And that's tough. It's tough for people to do that, because again, we're taught, right? Like, we're taught from such a young age. I mean,
Yes.
there's so many things. So, autoimmune disease, Susan. Um, what is autoimmune disease?
When your body is attacking yourself. So for
Yeah.
me, it manifested. I didn't know at the time, but my mother had Hashimoto's. My brother had thyroid issues, not Hashi's, but thyroid issues. And that's a little interesting. And then
Yeah.
there are some people that it runs in families, but usually there's lifestyle choices that will contribute to autoimmune. It's a lot of toxicity, and the body's just like, enough. And then whatever your particular deficit might be, it could switch over to autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many layers to this manifest.
What have you learned that what's the underlying trigger that usually starts all autoimmune disease?
Diet, diet, and the environment.
Chronic
And the
inflammation too, right?
oh,
Inflammation,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely. That's set up by choices. Oh, yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I think people don't realize how powerful inflammation is inside the body. And it's kind
Mhm.
of this double-edged sword, right? Because we need a certain level of inflammation or else we're sitting ducks to microbes and bacterias. And when you cut your finger, you need that burn sensation. That's inflammation. That's the healing process. That's what it's supposed to do, right? You sprain an
Mhm.
ankle, it swells up. That's your body rushing the nutrients and the antibodies and all the stuff, the white blood cells, and saying heal, heal, heal. But it's that low level inflammation that literally, I talk about this all the time. It's you're literally at war with your own body. Your body's literally attacking itself every day. And these things, the sad part is these things start off so simple, right? It's like these little issues. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, one, we either get told we're crazy, or two, we're stubborn and we brush it off, right? Oh, I'm getting older. Oh, that's just part of life. Oh, whatever. We make up this excuse, right? And we let this inflammation go. And then, 2 years goes by, 4 years goes by, 6 years goes by. And this is where people don't understand, right? Look at somebody who's in their 20s and then they get to their 40s and they're like, well, wait a minute, like I was a raw suffering. Well, that's the body, right? The body is designed to adapt. Your body is going to adapt to what you do to it, right? And whether that's healthy or not healthy, the body's going to keep this adapting. But if we can address this, like the diet factor alone is such a powerful piece, right? Like I know you're with me when I say food's the most
Well,
powerful drug on the planet.
absolutely. And what happened to me, and I have a friend, we joke about it today. Um, I had all these food sensitivities, and was reacting to everything because nothing was. I mean, I had all these sensitivities,
Yeah,
and all of that is gone today. Um, because I got myself well, but food is the main culprit. And we see that all the time. Like, just for example, a lot of people with Crohn's disease, severe, they stop eating gluten and dairy, and their symptoms either improve or go away. Not everyone,
yeah,
but a lot of people. And this information is not shared, and it should be. It should be. It
yeah.
should be taught.
Why do you think it's not shared?
We've gone so off. You know, I don't know. I mean, doctors are busy treating symptoms and they see, dictated by insurance, and they're seeing many patients, and they don't, even the ones that want to go into nutrition, they don't have the time. And then we have marketing and all of this that's out there. It's one of the things, like, for me, my journey, I guess I did do versions of elimination diets. And what I
Mhm.
would tell people with this, with inflammation and with food sensitivities and hormone imbalance, is, with the Shred anyway, is do it to the letter and try to stick to the protocol with the meat. Everything
Yeah,
that's really low allergenic, because it's going to help you clean things up so that you can really feel better. And if you're trying to regain your health, that would be a great step in the right direction.
yeah. Now, when we're fixing things, Susan, right? When we're going through the healing process, um, can you touch on that a little bit? Like, because I want people to understand that while diet is, in my opinion, the most powerful thing that you could get control of, I mean, literally, I don't think people understand that when you take a bite of anything, I'm not talking like an hour from now or a day from now. I'm talking like the
Oh,
second that your digestion process starts with your saliva. right? If you realize when you think of food and you realize, or you're cooking and you smell it, your mouth starts to salivate. And people don't realize, Susan, that the digestion process actually starts in the mouth,
Mhm.
right? And the breakdown of the food, like one of the things that we could do to improve things is actually chew our food
Chew
better.
food, yeah.
You're
Yeah.
supposed to actually chew like 60 to 70 chews before you swallow. Now, I don't think any of us do that, to be honest with you. I know I do it a little bit better when I'm eating my steak and my ribeyes and stuff like that, because you got to chew that meat, right? But what that it's such a simple concept. Like, chew your food, put your fork down, don't inhale it. Like, take your time, right? Let your body start to process that. But as we start to go through the healing process, um, let's just be raw and real. It's not going to be a fun show for people, right? It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be fun. Like all that pain that you went through to build up, you have to almost reverse it, right? And start to
Yeah.
go through the process backwards in order to get to that. Now, I want people to realize you started talking about your symptoms from 2003 to
Yeah.
2005. It is now
Right.
2021
Mhm.
and you're thriving.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Now, I
yeah. I
think we
mean, I
could
think,
do it I think we can do it a lot faster these days, right? But people need to just realize that there is no quick fix, is there, Susan?
well, for me, it was a multifaceted journey. I had to repair my health. I went down the staircase um, because I was not listened to, and
Yeah.
I had to climb that staircase back up. And rest, stress management, um, staying hydrated, all these things that I thought that I was doing, some supplements. So we all have different journeys, but
Yeah.
diet is the single most powerful tool to rebuild your house. Those are the bricks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
So,
what you just said. And really what you just explained is why I'm so passionate about the ER shred, that you have played such an important role in getting this out. I mean, we have helped thousands of people at this point in time, and we've only been doing this since October. But I need people to understand that the ER shred is not just about taking away some food, adding in other foods, right? Like, we are taking a complete holistic approach. We are giving you power. We are giving you strength. We are giving you support. We are welcoming you where you are, and with open arms, and saying, come to us, and let us help. And a lot of people now, they've realized that, one shred can be great, but when you do 5 and 6 and you adapt the lifestyle, and you bring the lifestyle into your life, and you're working on the mind, you're working on the body, you're working on the stress, you're working on the sleep, you're working on all the aspects, right? Holistic medicine, functional medicine is a circle, right? It's career, it's spirituality, it's home cooking, it's physical exercise, it's mindset, it's all of that put together. It can't just be there's not just a one-way road. It kind of all has to be grouped together, and kind of all plays a role in each other, doesn't it? Don't you think that? Like one supports the other in helping take you, up that ladder and up
absolutely.
those steps that you talked about.
Yes. And we have common sense. And yes, there are problems in the medical profession. There are problems with doctors. I was treated horribly. And I know other people have been as well. But the truth of the matter is, what got me out of my situation was personal responsibility and what makes
Mm,
sense. So that was a big piece of this. So it has to be multifaceted. So we can bash all we want. I'm a basher too. But there's if you go to your doctor and he says to you, and you have, let's say, Crohn's disease, chronic inflammatory diarrhea, and he says to you, oh no, it's not your diet. I mean, come on, you know, yeah. I mean, there's a piece of this that is just common sense. And, so, and it's about taking responsibility for our health. And what's happened through marketing and the whole model is they're taking that away from you. And that's why people feel disempowered when they go to a physician. It's supposed to be the other way around. So how's that going to change as we educate ourselves? Hopefully these things will get better. You know, when I
Yeah.
went for my physical this year, my doctor was like, damn, girl. You know what I mean? And she wanted to know what I was doing. So we have to drive that train.
Yeah. Man, I really, really hope people just allowed what you just said to really sink in. Like you, you are responsible for your own well-being. You are responsible to get in that damn driver's seat and take control of that wheel. And you're responsible to steer that ship. You have to be that end result. And yes, there's help, and yes, there's things out there that can guide you, but you really have to step up to the plate, and you got to be willing to swing, and you got to be willing to strike out over and over and over again, and until you get to that answer, and don't stop. Right? I mean, I think success in anything, whether it's health or business or whatever we're talking about, it's not about just getting, that's not about being successful. It's how many times you can fail and get back up with a smile and keep pushing. Right? Like, you're in control, and you got to keep pushing for those answers, because there are answers. There are answers. You know what I
If
mean?
you're struggling for something, I was like this crazy researcher. But when it comes to responsibility for your health, you know, we're witnessing that. And it's the funniest thing because then you have these people asking all these questions. Really, Jesse, you know they know the answer.
They
They know
do.
the answer. They know the answer. And it's the most interesting dynamic. And then what we're watching, and you know, this is where Sean lights up, and me too, is the empowerment piece, where you know, and then you get to choose. I feel better when I do this and not as good as when I do that. And you know, we're witnessing this in this group every single day.
Mm,
It's so, you know, I know we love it.
yeah. I mean, it lights me up. You and I literally, there's not a day that goes by that I don't think that we're sharing a story with each other, or we're tagging each other to make sure that we didn't miss like somebody else's, post. I finished, and this is what happened. I mean, we
Yes.
have seen, we have seen some ridiculous things so far, and it doesn't
And
surprise me. It doesn't
no,
surprise me
me either.
knowing what we
And
know today.
I'm like, guys, we see you. We see you. We cheer you on.
Yeah.
We love this for you, even with the millions. Everything's a no.
Yeah, I know. I know. You and I text each other. We're like, do you want to be the asshole, or do you want me to be the asshole?
But I want to say something because this is about autoimmune disease. So, and what you said is very true. And I remember when I used to work with a lot of type 2 diabetes, and well, people would say, well, can I just have a bite? And I would say to them, you are trying to walk yourself out of insulin resistance. The minute you put that in your mouth, don't even swallow, you're spiking insulin.
Hmm.
So let's just talk about insulin resistance for a minute. So now
Yes, please do.
your cells have gotten hard, and they're like, listen, dude, I can't be dealing with all this sugar and crap. So now it won't let things in. Well, your body that so now change your diet. Why are my blood sugars still high? Well, it takes a minute. Your body's like, I don't trust this guy. I'm not letting anything in. This takes time for your body to see that there's a consistent change. So for people trying to walk themselves out of type 2 diabetes, you're good for a month. And then let's say you have sugar. Well, you just started that whole cascade all over again.
Yeah.
And this is why, you know, in the beginning, it's like anything else in life, whether it's spirituality, getting to know yourself, self actualization, anything that has great value. The road narrows and then it opens. And that's what I keep telling people about the Shred. Give yourself this gift.
Yeah.
Follow
And
the
it's funny.
steps.
It's funny to watch. You know what I mean? Because I agree with you. People that ask the questions, sometimes, I got to hold back. I got to be honest. I got to hold back, and sometimes I just want to reach through the computer and I want to slap some of you. I'm just going to tell you honestly, I want to slap you because have you ever in all your years, have you ever seen something so simple? Have you ever come across something so
Yes.
simple and so effective than what we put together with what we call the ER shred? I mean, it is the stupidest, simplest thing that I have ever seen, right? And the results are profound. Yet we'll still have people coming in. Well, why can't I add more black pepper? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Well, start asking yourself a different question. What if I just follow it? What can I accomplish? What is
Right.
my body going to do then? Like, shift the mindset a little bit and get the out of your own way. Like, get out of your own way because a lot of you are just stopping your own progress. You know what I mean? Um, and I'm not going to go
Oh, they're
down
doing.
that birdie hole too
Yeah,
much
they're
because
doing.
I'll get really fired up right now, but I don't want to go. I don't want to go down that hole. But um, people can heal themselves, Susan, and what we have is a gift that people can use. As the ER shred's not going to heal you. The products are not going to heal you. This is the tracks to run on that's going to give you the empowerment aspect so you can create that aha moment and you can realize how powerful food is and how amazing you were designed to feel. And
Yeah.
when you put those two together, when we see people put those two together, and I'm thinking of people like April and Aubrey and yourself and Bob and Sean and Crystal and even me doing this after all these years, like my polyps went away in my face. Are you kidding me? I've been on medication for 15 years, Susan. I've studied this, right? It's just profound. It's so crazy what can happen. But we got to get out of our own way. We got to fight. You know what I mean? And when I say fight, people are going to turn around and be like, well, that's what I'm doing. I'm asking. No, 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 no. You're trying to make an excuse because negativity likes negativity and you've been so used to people coddling you. Well, let me tell you something. I don't believe that everybody deserves a freaking trophy. That's stupid. You don't deserve a trophy for participation. You deserve a trophy if you fight the fight and you win. That's when you deserve the trophy. You know what I mean? And I just wish people would just really embrace and just let go and give this a simple shot. So that's really the big thing. So
They're doing that. They're doing that. And then the other interesting thing to this is, you know, the things that we don't talk about, the things that aren't valued in our society. But can you imagine being in a place where you trust your instincts, you trust your not afraid. You can take yourself anywhere. You're empowered. You own who you are and
yeah,
you know what's right for you. And that
yeah.
springboards into every area of your life. And that is what this is about. And this is a vehicle to get there. And you can see people awakening, awakening, awakening. But that's the bigger piece. That's what we all deserve.
Mm,
We all deserve that.
yeah. Look what April said. I gave myself the gift of life. ER shred.
Mhm.
I mean, April is like a walking billboard. She's actually my guest next week. And boy,
Oh,
can
cool.
I not. Oh, I can't wait to dive into her story. Every time I see her on a Wednesday team call, she just lights my heart. Um, she went all in. I mean, she went all in and she just said, I'm going for it. And she never looked back. And her transformation from the beginning to now, and I'm not talking about the physical. The physical, she's had a physical transformation for sure. But Susan, you know what I'm talking about. Her confidence, the way that she speaks, the way that she shows up, the way that she talks. I mean, you have no idea the power that this brings back to your life. in all those aspects. And if you have more confidence, we're talking about better relationships. We're talking about better career. We're talking about working your way up the ladder. We're talking about so many things that can be impacted in your overall life, right? By fighting that fight. So it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. So what do you think? What do you think with the shred? Like, what is it that's finally clicking for people? What's so powerful about this from all your years of research, all the elimination diets, all the medication, all the food, all the studying? What makes you so jacked up about the shred every day? Because I know you're just as jacked up as I am.
It's seeing inflammation leave people's faces, their bodies, the confidence level, the personality change. This year after I do all my doctors, I can't stand them. So I do all my doctor's appointments together. And what happened to me this year, I'm like, I'm doing this and I'm sharing this because so many people don't feel well. People
Yeah.
feel better. Me and you, Jesse. Yeah, the weight loss, it's fabulous. Of course, it's great. But there's so much more that goes on with this and the community we've created and all
Yeah.
these helpers. Um, and then I'm sure there is some people in this group that are walking themselves out of type 2 diabetes, and I'm not making a claim, but I'm sure they're doing it. We see the testimonials and improving their health on every level. And
Yeah.
it's not restrictive. It's a beautiful lifestyle. I enjoy my meals now more than I have in years. And I mean, I was eating healthy. I was a salad, lean protein girl. And then, I just saw like my labs were good. And then what happened this year was like, are you crazy? And yeah.
Susan, share your last labs. Just share. This is your story. Share your last
Okay,
labs
so
of
and I'm
you.
gonna give
Now,
you
I need to frame this real quick. You have been, you understand food. You have been doing the heart healthy way of living for very, very many years, right? Tons of vegetables, half our plate, lean protein, what's recommended, right? What we've been taught. And I want to publicly just say, and I know many people won't do this in this profession, I want to publicly apologize to all the people, the hundreds of people that I have steered wrong over the course of the years and led you down the wrong way. But I want you to know that I myself was doing that because that's what I was taught. This is what we learned. This is what was taught to us in school. I can break out my clinical nutrition book and show you this is what was there. And unless we figured this out ourselves and said, well, wait a minute, we just got fortunate enough that we like to ask questions, right? And we won't stop asking questions. And I know you're like me. I've used myself as a human guinea pig for literally the last 20 years. People say to me all the time, oh, you're on to this now. Oh, you're on to that now. I'm like, you're so damn close-minded, you'll never figure this out. Because that's the beautiful thing about science. It's always evolving. It's always changing. We're learning, right? And what I've come to realize is we've gone ass backwards from 1960 to today. We've gone backwards because we never had things like heart disease and autoimmune disease and type 2 diabetes and childhood non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. That shit didn't exist back in the day. You
I just
cannot
have
argue with me. You can't. That food, the food choices and what the stupid government preached on us from bad research, right? Not even research that was proven. What's been pumped into us was not for the best of our health. It was for money and power. So I wanted to apologize, right? To people that I steered wrong. And I'm so glad that we can finally have a solution, right? To show them. But the shred, like the way that this is set up, like we can't tell you that we can cure things, but we can't deny the results that people have gotten from changing their lifestyle. Look, April just said my T1D numbers have been better than ever, and she's eating meat, and butter and salt.
I don't know what that is. What is that, April?
Well, April suffered with diabetes.
Oh, so her hemoglobin, I'm thinking she means her hemoglobin
Yeah,
A1C or her. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, good. Fabulous.
yeah. And I mean, how many stories have we seen? I just saw a cardiac nurse who posted something about her husband's levels, her husband's blood,
I love
has
that.
never
Yeah.
been healthier. And she knows, it's so hard to get out. Like some people coming from the medical industry, it's like it's so hard to eat this because all my all my overweight, um, all my overweight and unhealthy fellow nurses and doctors are telling me that it's not good to eat meat and it's not good to eat butter and it's not good to eat fat. And yet they're all unhealthy, but I just want to keep listening to them for some reason, and it's hard to get out of your own way. It's hard, but I want to just challenge you, like, you're not doing this by yourself. You have over 21,000 new friends when you join this community that are all going to support you. And you just got to make that choice, right? You just got to make that choice to not give a shit what anybody else thinks and be willing to do your own experiments. And I know that's why I'm the healthiest that I've ever been, and I know that's why the healthiest you've ever been. So with that, share your blood work that you shared with me,
Okay. I
and
just want
what
to say
happened at the last doctor's appointment.
someone in the chat saying about, many health pros come into the industry because they have their own crisis. I actually came into the industry well and then got sick years later. But so that served me. But as far as my lab, so like I said, I stack my appointments because I really don't like these people, except for my GYN, who's a really interesting guy. So I went for it. I'll give you one of these. It's a little too much information, but I don't care. I'm sharing it. So I went for my primary care doctor. I do my own lab panel. I test everything: insulin, cortisol, vitamin C, uh, lipid panel, everything. So I come in with this, and she's like, she looks at my lipid panel. She looks at me, and she's about 30, 40 pounds overweight. And she's looking at me and she's like, "You look so strong. You look so strong." And I'm just looking at her. And I said, "Well, I just did this thing." She goes, and she's looking at my labs and she's putting them in the computer. She goes, "Your vitamin C, you're this, you're that." She goes, "And your lipid panel and your insulin." And she goes, I said, "Yeah, you won't believe what I'm doing." She goes, "What?" I said, "I'm eating butter and grass fed meat." She goes, "What?" She followed me out of the appointment, gave me her cell phone number and her email. So I'm going back and forth with her. We'll see what she could do. But she just kept saying that to me. So of course that was fabulous. And then I go to my GYN and he comes in and I'm wearing the gown and he does the exam, this, that, and the other. Um, he does a breast exam. And,
Yep.
a lot of women have fibrocystic, dense breasts, lumps, bumps, whatever. Um, and I love this guy. We got into the most interesting conversation about food, Jesse, after this. He sits me up, he puts his face in my face, and he goes, "And I know you've changed your diet." So right away, I look at him and I go, "You're a sorcerer." And I said, "Why do you say that?" My breast health completely changed. No lumps, no bumps. I mean, seriously, people, this is deep tissue changes. Like you shared, Jesse, with the polyps in your nose. Like, are you kidding me? Really? So, and he's also leans carnivore, and that's how he eats. So I just found that fascinating. Of course, it was validation. I mean, I've been well now for a lot of years. It was
Mm-hmm.
quite the journey. But like you said, I was paleo. I was not eating gluten. I was avoiding not eating a lot of dairy, salads. And even now, when I start bringing vegetables back in, I feel so much better without
Yeah.
them and my clarity. And one of the things that really was compelling to me, because I did test my magnesium, my vitamin D, my CoQ10, my vitamin C. I've been primarily sticking to this, and all my vitamin levels were good. And I stopped my supplements on the Shred for quite a while. So I thought that was very compelling as well.
I mean, if that doesn't give you the power that you need to drive forward, people,
Oh,
I don't
Jesse,
know.
I'm eating
I
butter. I'm eating butter.
Susan,
You hear me?
I eat more butter today than ever before in my life. I literally start my day. Do you understand? Today I can fuel a 10-mile run
I saw.
or a crazy workout with 2 tablespoons of grass-fed butter in my organic coffee. Look at this. Look at this one. Look at this one. Heidi,
I
thank
see
you for
it.
sharing this. My
A1C.
A1C
That's
went from
freaking awesome.
9.4 to 5.4. Good cholesterol up, bad cholesterol down. I was prescribed 6 pills down to one. I
Hey,
feel amazing. Numbers matter. Get blood work done before and after. I mean, come on.
that's what
Come on.
it's
This is
about.
real
You know,
people. This
each
is
of
real
us,
people, real
let me
results.
just, each one of us has our own issues. So for me, I was about a month and 6 weeks into the shred. I did my thyroid antibodies and they were lower than they've ever been. That's my, I would love to be able to zero that out. I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but now I did my blood work again and it was about 6, 8 weeks later and they're even lower.
Mm,
So, you see these with, I mean, look, all I know is, and I'm sure who wrote that, Heidi.
Heidi.
When you got that in your labs, then you're sure there's proof of concept. I came home from my doctor's appointment having espresso. The butter's going in the espresso because I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Plus, everyone
Yeah.
looks fabulous.
I know, and we've been taught. I mean, obviously, we now know from research and from doing some investigative work. If you go back and you watch a documentary called Fat Fiction, you mentioned another. What was the other one? You mentioned the Perfect Human Diet, right?
Perfect Human Diet is probably the best one I've ever seen. I found it on Tubi. It's like hard to find.
Yeah.
I That right there is a curiosity to me. It's like,
You mean
yes,
why it's hard to find?
yes,
Hard to
because it's
find
all
because
science.
because it's hard to find because one, they don't want us to know. Two, people don't have the galls to say what I just said and apologize that they were wrong, right? Nobody wants to let their ego go to shame and say, hey, I've been steering you wrong for 70 plus years, right? We need to change this. Why this doesn't change is crazy. But let's do this, Susan. We're at the top of the hour and I want to respect everybody's time. Give me your last thing. What would you say to somebody who's struggling, who's contemplating, who's getting the negative vibes from doctors or family or coworkers? What would you say to somebody if they're struggling with health and the shred? Like, what's that last message that you want to share with everybody?
We're so on the same page. So tonight, this call was about my story, autoimmune disease. Um, you know, if I communicated nothing, it's just follow your gut, follow your instincts, speak up for yourself. If you know something's wrong, you're probably right. And then we're on the same page because I have here the gifts. So the gifts in what I went through was finding my voice, trusting my instincts. I know I'm strong. I know I'm resilient. Whatever life hands me, I can find my way. And we
Mm,
all can do that, and reach out. If there's anybody that wants any information, if you're struggling with um, thyroid issues, I'm happy to provide you with what should be looked at. And, I'm just really glad. I just hope I help somebody tonight.
yeah, well, I mean, I if you didn't, they're just closed off. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Like, if we didn't share evidence, proof of concept from your story, from the people that are posting, and thank you for everybody who posted in the comments and is sharing your story. Thank you for everybody who trusted in us. Thank you for everybody who shows up every single day and shares and contributes to the community and the group. We are literally changing world health and we're not going anywhere. I mean, we have just barely scratched the surface because there are millions and millions of more people here in America, around the world, that are suffering, that do not need to be suffering anymore. When there's a solution, we just need to be strong enough to just make our own decision and trust our gut. We got to learn to trust our gut and just go with it. So, Susan, I love you to death. You know
I love
this.
you too.
Oh man, like I am so, I've told you this before, but I cannot think of a better person to take this journey with. We think alike, we act alike, we're on the same path. We're gonna be hard. We're not being hard asses. You guys gotta understand, we care so much, but we don't care. And what that means is we care so much about you, but we can't care so much if you don't care about yourself. And we've realized that over the years, we can't help somebody who's not willing to be helped. And it's sad, but you can't let that emotional connection get into play. So I just want to challenge everybody to take the leap of faith, believe in yourself, you deserve, like Susan says, you deserve this gift. It is 11 days. And I guarantee
Yeah.
you that if you do this 11 days, you will not go back. You will not go back because it's so powerful. It's going to drastically change your life. So, with that, Susan, let's end this. We're going to do more calls because we got so much more to dive into and so much more to talk about. Maybe we can do a video where you can just put that information out one time instead of like people, flooding you, because we want to respect your time as well. You have a life, you work, you need to do your own thing as well. So you're not people's personal nurse. I need people to understand that. Susan does not work for you, but you should thank her because she's willing to help, and don't take that kindness for weakness. Do not take that kindness for weakness. Okay. Everything that you need is there in the group. Just go for it. And I guarantee you that you're going to have amazing results. So, Susan, I hope you have an amazing night.
You
I'm
too,
sure I'll
Jesse.
talk to you
Sleep good.
tomorrow. What's that?
I said sleep good tonight. I'm
Yeah, now
reading
we
good.
have to try to calm down and sleep a little bit. But guys, tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, we have our weekly, what we call Shred Your Testimonial call. We have so many people that just completed the 11-day ER Shred protocol, and the results are just mind-boggling. And I know we have some new shares coming on tomorrow. So join us tomorrow. That's a Zoom call. You can go to ershred.com. On the second page of that website, right at the very top, you can click that button and it will take you right into our Zoom call. And if for those of you that want to find out more information about the ER Shred, just go to ershred.com. And if you want to be part of our free community that's growing by the hundreds, literally weekly, it's just www.ershredders.com. So I hope you all have an amazing night, and we will talk to you soon.
Good night, Treader Nation.